All right, today we're diving into something called Polymarket. It's a platform where you can literally trade on almost anything you can think of. From who's going to win the next election to what Elon Musk is going to do next. So the big question is this the future of how we forecast things? Or is it just a really slick high-tech casino? Let's get into it.
So what if you could trade on, well, basically anything? I mean, think about it. Who's got to win the next election? What's the price of Bitcoin going to be next month? Heck, even who's going to walk away with an Oscar? That's the powerful and, yeah, pretty controversial idea we're digging into today.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll cover what prediction markets even are. Then, we'll zoom in on Polymarket specifically. We'll look at how it works, talk about the good and the bad, and then wrap up with how you could get started and, stay safe while doing it.
All right, so before we dive headfirst into Polymarket, we've got to take a step back. We need to get a handle on the big idea behind it all: prediction markets. So what is a prediction market? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a stock market, but instead of trading shares of Apple or Google, you're trading shares on future events. So you're not just placing a one-off bet and hoping for the best. No, you're actively buying and selling shares. And the price of those shares? It's constantly changing based on what everyone else thinks is going to happen. It's pretty cool.
Let me walk you through how this usually works. So a market opens for some event. Let's say, will candidate X win the election, okay? You've got yes shares and no shares. Maybe the yes shares start trading at 50 cents. That price basically means the market thinks it's a 50-50 toss-up. But then as news comes out and people's opinions change, that price starts to move. It goes up, it goes down. Now here's the kicker. If the event happens and you were right, your yes shares were correct, each one of those shares becomes worth exactly $1. But if you were wrong, they drop all the way to zero. Simple as that.
Okay, so now that we've got the basics of prediction markets down, let's zoom in on our main subject for today, Polymarket.
So what makes Polymarket special? Well, here's the big thing. It's all built in the crypto world. It runs on something called the Polygon network, and you're not using regular dollars. Instead, you're trading with USDC, which is what's called a stablecoin. It's a crypto token that's always meant to be worth $1. And this whole decentralized crypto-based approach, that's really what sets it apart from everything else.
And the stuff you can trade on? It's wild. I mean, we're not just talking about big sports games here. You can trade on everything from US and world politics to crypto prices, pop culture, breaking news, even big scientific breakthroughs. The point is, if you're a total political junkie or a tech whiz, or you just know everything about pop culture, there's probably a market where that specific knowledge could actually give you a real edge.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this thing actually work? What's happening under the hood when you go to make a trade on Polymarket? The best way to understand it is to compare it to traditional gambling. With old-school betting, you've got a bookmaker who sets the odds, right? On Polymarket, there is no bookmaker. The odds are just the price of the share, and that's set by what the community, what you and everyone else is willing to pay. And the payouts, they're handled by transparent computer code, not some black box system. But maybe the biggest difference is this. With a normal bet, you're locked in. On Polymarket, you can trade your shares anytime you want before the event is over. Huge difference.
And all of this really leads to this feeling that it's just fairer. It's more transparent. There's a quote from our source material that puts it perfectly. It's seen as a more transparent way to speculate precisely because these old, opaque systems used in traditional gambling just aren't there. The blockchain tech gives you a level of insight you just don't get otherwise.
So you might be wondering, how does this all work without a big company in the middle pulling all the strings? Well, it really boils down to two key pieces of crypto tech. First, you have these things called liquidity pools. Just think of them as big pots of money that other users put up, and that's what lets you trade instantly. Then you have smart contracts. These are just pieces of code that act like a totally impartial digital referee. When the event is over, the smart contract automatically pays out the winners. No humans, no middlemen, it just happens.
Okay, a quick but really important note on fees. You might hear that there are no trading fees, and that's kind of true in a traditional sense. But here's the deal. The platform does take a 2% cut of your net earnings on a trade, so if you win, they take a small piece. It's just a really important detail to keep in mind.
All right, we've seen how it all works, but now for the big question. What are the real upsides and downsides here? Let's take a balanced look at the pros and cons, the benefits and the risks.
So, on the plus side, a lot of the benefits really come down to one thing: user control.
The blockchain means everything is out in the open. It's transparent. Those smart contracts we talked about, they guarantee you get paid if you win, no questions asked. You also get way more things to trade on than most other platforms. And this is a big one, you can swing trade. That means you can sell your shares and take a profit or cut your losses long before the event is even over.
But there are definitely risks. For one, you're not playing against amateurs here. The competition on these platforms can be incredibly sharp and analytical. You're kind of swimming with sharks. Then there are the tech risks. These platforms can get hacked, and market risks, like something called slippage. That's where the price moves just in that split second after you click buy, and you end up getting a worse deal. And that last point, providing liquidity, yeah, that's a whole other level of risk. I'd say that's strictly for advanced users only.
So, if after hearing all of that, your curiosity is piqued and you're thinking about checking it out, let's just quickly walk through the basic steps for getting started, and maybe more importantly, how to think about doing it safely.
Honestly, getting started is surprisingly straightforward. First, you just create an account with your email. That's it, no ID needed. Step 2, you'll need to get some of that USDC stablecoin into your wallet on the platform. From there, you just browse the different markets. They have categories like trending or ending soon to help you out. And then, once you've done your research, you can buy or sell shares based on what you think is going to happen. But please, trading smart is absolutely key here. This isn't about just going with your gut. It's about using a methodical, data-driven approach. You need to have a risk management plan for every single trade. You should also probably stick to the more popular markets with lots of trading activity. That high liquidity helps you avoid that slippage problem we talked about. And the number one rule, research any strategy you're thinking about before you even think about using real money. And all of this brings us back to that one huge question. Are platforms like Polymarket the future of information? A powerful new way to see what's coming by tapping into the wisdom of the crowd? Or is this whole thing just a new kind of casino dressed up in fancy tech? It's a fascinating debate, and it really gets to the heart of what all this represents. Thanks for joining us.